Hi guys, I wanted to talk to you about Lumen. I've spoken about this little device before, but I'm back speaking about it because I've had the chance to actually now use it for over 6 months and I love it. So I always recommend it, and I've recommended it to all my clients, and the ones that got it also are learning how to use it. Some of them, if they're not committed with it, they get frustrated. And I want to talk about the frustration today actually. This device measures your metabolic flexibility, which means the way that you move from burning carbs to burning fat. Now, in the understanding on social media is very simplified. Always makes it think like if you're fasting, you're automatically actually burning fat, and that's not true. To get to a ketosis state, by the way, it takes about at least 17 hours. For some people, especially plant-based eaters who eat a lot of more carbs, and I'm on a high carb diet, we take a little bit longer to get into ketosis. Okay, so it might take 24 hours actually. We can get into autophagy after 17, however, which is the reparation of the cell. You don't have to be into ketosis to do that. Ketosis just speeds up a little bit of things, but it's not necessary. However, this is why fasting is good and why 17 hours is not outlandish for most of us, because if we have dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, by the time we have breakfast the next day, 17 hours are just like that. And it's nice not to actually eat at night for many reasons. One is that we want to follow our circadian rhythm, and when it gets dark, actually we become more sensitive, more insulin resistant, because melatonin needs to go up, and in the morning we are more insulin sensitive. So we want to have most of our carbs and starches, especially early part of the day, but especially having all our meals when it's bright outside, when it's sunny, it gives our circadian rhythm the right cues. So aside from that, and if I know it's complicated, we can talk about this another time in more details, but back to the lumen. The lumen basically will show you when you're burning fat and when you're burning carbs. So within 2 hours of a meal, you want to be burning carbs, which means there is more CO2 into your blood and into your body, and you are burning more carbs. You are using that as a source of energy. That is great, because basically we want to use the food that we're eating to as energy, because if we're not doing that, if we are burning fat while we actually had a meal, that means that we're going to store fat. We're going to store the energy that goes into the glycogen stores and then burning fat. And I know it can sound a little bit counterintuitive, because I'm like, if I'm burning fat, why am I storing fat? It's because you're basically not using the energy that you just ate. You want to use that, okay? So having meals obviously that are very balanced are very important, so that you can go there. And sometimes it takes a while to get into metabolic flexibility, because we eat a very processed diet, a lot of refined carbs, a lot of junk packaged food, generally speaking. Those of us who want to be healthier need to understand what healthy means for you, for your body, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. For example, I had to give up my favorite thing, which was rice, a while ago, because I just realized my body did not like it. And I thrive better with things like quinoa, buckwheat. And buckwheat I also have to be careful. Sometimes it actually upsets my belly. But quinoa and sweet potatoes, definitely love and work really well with them. Even potatoes. And potatoes, a little trick to make them more resistant starches are to actually cool them down and then warm them up again. And they are so good for your microbiome, by the way. Amazing. So there are these little things you have to learn about your body, and the lumen really helps with that. So you take a deep breath into this, and you take it first thing in the morning. Now, again, if you're a plant-based eater, don't do it. I honestly realize that do it later, even after exercise on a fast, because your reading will change. Okay, you will go from a 3 to possibly a 2, which is burning fat, and so the device, the app will tell you that you're not metabolically flexible if you're not waking up in a 2. But for us who eat a very high carb diet, it takes a bit longer to go into that fasting fat burn. Completely normal. Those are nuisances though. So when you are actually joining Lumen and you go onto the app and you follow the even the chats with the community, those things need to be pointed out, and it's very important. But we also, as women, have to follow our hormones. So sometimes during the month we are not going to be fasting longer than 12 hours or 13, and we also have to have more sugar in our body. So that might prevent you from switching to fat burn as easily, but that's okay. However, what you want to see, just like in glucose reading, is that if you eat a meal and you go to 4, you want to see it coming down within 2 hours, at least to a 2 if you're burning fat, or 3. And again, it depends what you ate. Okay, so this device will just kind of give you a little bit of guidance with that. So I really like it. There are a lot of questions that will come using this, which I'm always happy to answer, because again, I am learning about it. I have a client, for example, that uses it, but she's always in fat burn, but she's gaining weight instead of losing it. And the reason is what I explained before: she stores what she eats. And that's because she fasts too long, she has too many ketogenic meals. But unfortunately, when if you're reading a lot online and you get confused, you want to go in one direction then the other, you have to find a path, stick to it for a while, see if it works, and then change. And that's sometimes not, it requires patience, which sometimes is not a virtue for everybody. So this is why I keep on making the videos. This is why I keep on sharing. Anyway, if you want to get your Lumen, I do have a code. I am an affiliate. I'm an ambassador of this brand. I love them. I think they're doing great jobs. Actually, in the new year, they're launching a new Lumen, which will also calculate ketogens or ketosis. So if you are in ketosis or not. So that is brilliant, because then you get more of a deeper sense. Because right now, if you want to see what your ketones are doing, you have to do it with a prick, like with the Keto Mojo. So it's too many things. And I like to have things kind of consolidated if possible, especially as I'm working on my own web app and I want to have these connections to these devices. If one device can do multiple things, it's better than asking people to get too many things. I wouldn't want to use too many things. I already use my glucose test every day, once a week, to see where I'm at. I put a CGM every 6 months just to see where I'm at, but I had type 2 diabetes, so I really want to always check in with my body. If my energy is a little bit low, understanding what's going on, why I'm tired. But yeah, those things are important, and you have to kind of listen to your body and learn. So the Lumen I've found is very, very helpful. Now, a lot of the things, again, there's nuisance in using this, which I'm always happy to talk about, especially if you have questions. But check it out in the notes. If you want to get it, I have a discount. It is an investment, but you can use it all the time. And if you are really good at taking your breath before your meals, after your meals, before workout, after workout, you really learn your movements. Sometimes they change, sometimes they are different, even if you're doing the same thing, hormones. But generally speaking, you get a sense of what your body likes and doesn't like, and it really can help you make better choices. So see you soon. Bye.